And that's, you can keep that agenda too.
We're gonna mess it up.
We're gonna mess it up,
Yeah.
but,
Good, okay.
but that's all things we're talking about, so.
I'm just gonna, okay, I'm looking for Catherine on the
'Cause I
agenda.
didn't put Catherine on. 'cause
Okay, so we're just gonna,
I figured you'd put her first
Okay.
typically.
yeah.
After we
Before the minute.
We're ready to open, yeah.
Okay, I think we can do it. We just- Go ahead.
We're live.
Good morning. This is the Allegheny County IDA meeting of July 13th. I'm Judy Hopkins, the vice chair of the committee. And with us in the room today are John Rickey and Randy Shaler and our director, Craig Clark. And we have a guest today. So we're going to move the agenda a little bit to allow our guests to go first. And so, Catherine, if you're ready, would you like to introduce yourself? Can they see Catherine on the camera?
Should I scoot down?
There.
You can now.
Yeah.
Start the show. Perfect.
You're starting out.
Something like a voice
Right.
coming from the dark. you know?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, yes, thank you. As mentioned, I'm Catherine Shepp. I'm a Clean Choice Energy. We're a green energy company based in Washington, D.C. We are developing projects in a number of states with a big focus on New York. So we are here to discuss our Augusta Solar Wellsville project. As the name suggests, it's in Wellsville. It's a small project. It is 2.4 megawatts AC, about 3.5 DC. It's located on a parcel adjacent to an existing solar farm. The existing solar farm is about twice as big. So you may have already spoken about that farm before. And we're here to discuss our pilot application, as well as we're hoping you'll take lead agency on the secret process. So I can answer questions. I don't know if there's any more you need.
It's got DC, is that normal? It's half and half DC?
Yeah,
No,
so
go ahead.
the way that works, it's alternating current or direct current.
Right.
And so there's a transformer on the project, on every solar project, that switches it from AC to DC. So that's a normal thing. And it's just two different ways to size it depending on kind of, I believe it's the AC current that is on the actual power lines and the DC that's produced on the site.
Thank you.
Yeah, all the PV systems only produce DC current, then they have to transfer.
You
to
transfer,
AC, yeah.
okay.
And so this is gonna be a community project as well?
That's how it is
Tell us a
set
little
up.
bit more what the public might want to know about it.
Yeah, so right now it's set up as a community solar project. There is the potential that it would become a retail project. So the energy where it goes doesn't change. It's still going to go to the nearby substation. It'll either be going directly to community solar subscribers or to retail customers with Clean Choice Energy.
Do you have any questions for Catherine? Randy is also the mayor of Wellsville.
Oh,
so
nice to meet you.
You might want to address some things. I don't want to put you on the spot.
And I talked to Shad. I mean, they're all in favor of this. I'm sure you talked with Shad and Mike. And
Yeah, we actually already presented to one Wellsville. I think it was the planning or the town
Town
board.
board,
We
right.
attended their meeting and presented it, and they didn't have any issues.
No.
My Wellsville geography is a little foggy. Can you tell me exactly where it is? Give me some.
Yeah, it's on Voorhees Hill Road, and then the cross
That's
street.
south or west of Wellsville?
I think it's just south of Wellsville.
Yeah, south of Wellsville.
Okay, before Standards?
The adjoining, yeah, towards Standards, but out a little bit off to the Andover side.
Mhm.
Head toward Andover and Standards at the same time. And don't go all the way to Whitesville.
Okay.
The adjacent farm, the adjacent solar farm, who is that the Graves one?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you say that's no longer in operation?
It's still in operation. It was not developed by our firm, but it's built and operating.
Okay, you said this one then is on land that hasn't had a,
Yeah, here. on the map,
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, you can actually see when this aerial was taken, the one next door was under construction, so you see it's about half built off to the right there.
Oh, here. Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so you'll even see that, that adjacent project, it's interconnecting to a power line just north of it, and we're gonna be connecting to that same power line. So very close by, very similar setup, but just slightly smaller. And you may be curious why we located it on that particular portion of the parcel. And that was working with our landowner who farms the parcel. He wanted us to put it obviously in his least productive area. So that's why we placed it right there. Because it's a little bit more gravelly there and not quite as good for growing crops.
Is
Go
the
ahead.
grid all set to accept it, or they don't have to do any more upgrades when time you're ready to come online?
Great question. So we have gone through the entire Caesar study process with National Grid. They've given us the official quotes for any small upgrades that are needed. We initially wanted to do a 5 megawatt project, but that would be so costly and involve a lot of substation and transformer upgrades that we downsized to this 2.4 megawatt size. So we wouldn't have to change the grid very much. And on the 20th is when we make our final interconnection payment so that they can start their construction scheduling to kind of add the couple poles necessary.
My question is related to that one, actually, so I'm glad you asked that first.
Yeah.
The question was, is there ever a situation where the power company cannot accept it on the grid if they would have to do too much, or is that your responsibility to make those upgrades?
Yeah, that's a big part of that Caesar study process is they look not only at how much we would be adding to the system, but what load they have in this area to kind of take it off. And they're responsible for being sure it's balanced before we even interconnect it to the grid.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And how many acres is this?
I think
Field that it's in?
I think it's either 14.9 or 19.4. It's on the EAF.
Okay,
there.
it's not a huge field.
Sounds like about 14 probably makes sense for the
Yeah.
size.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a pretty small project, and it's a large parcel, so we're not even using half the parcel.
Who is the property owner?
Ryan Brands? Yeah, it's 14.9. It's the exact size.
When do you anticipate the construction and when finished and production?
Yeah, ideally, we'd like to be kind of all plugged in next spring. So like I said, we pay National Grid and then they do their construction scheduling. And that's really the one major thing that will slow us down. But we're shooting for mid next year that it would be.
And are these rotating panels?
Yeah, they're going to track the sun.
Can't talk.
Yeah, it's a single axis tracker system. So it will follow the sun throughout the day.
Mhm.
I don't think there's many that aren't anymore, are there?
Yeah, it's become
Almost
so.
all of them are trackers.
Yeah,
I would hope so.
It's so much more efficient, and it's the tracking technology has gotten so much cheaper that it just makes sense in most places.
Mhm. Where are your panels manufactured?
At this point, we haven't procured our panels yet because we haven't started construction, but what we have spec'd on this design, which could change, they're Q cells, and that is an Asian-based company that actually just started building their manufacturing plant in Georgia, I believe 2 weeks ago. So if everything goes well, they would be American made.
That's good.
But procurement, sometimes things change between now and then.
Yeah.
But that's cool.
The existing solar farm that's next door, did you comment on the completion? Is that completed? Is
I
it
believe it is.
completely in operation?
Yeah, it's
I
completed.
believe so. Like I said, we didn't build that one, but I think
Mhm.
it's completed.
All right, here's a good question.
Yeah,
All your questions are.
Oh,
I'm excited.
you're not from around here, who's gonna be your general? Plus, because the deal is, we want you using local.
Yes.
We know local can be way out, we have a lot of local that are real close. A guy who can put up a company,
Mhm.
right from Allegheny County is a fencing one.
Yeah.
We had one company come in from out of state and they Googled fence people, and they get Buffalo or Rochester. We have a lot here, so we'd like to see you work from the inside out. if
Yeah,
possible. So let's give everything as much to Allegheny County.
Yeah, it's a great
It's
question.
possible.
And we signed on the dotted line here about the local labor piece in your application. And we've been speaking with Brian Brands from the very beginning about his desire for us to use local labor. So similar to the panels where we haven't acquired them yet, once we're getting closer to construction, that's when we'll start getting bids from, GMs and different construction firms. So we'll be sure that we're including local labor in that bid process.
Great, thank you.
Of course. Those final decisions will be made by True Green Capital, who's our majority owner. But yeah, local labor is part of that process.
Where's True Green Capital located?
They're American. I think they're located in California. They just acquired a majority stake in our company a couple weeks ago.
It's always good to have the representatives like you coming in to talk about the various projects. It really gives us a much better picture of what it's going to be, what we're voting on, what we're approving, and all of that. So I appreciate your coming in. Are there any other questions? Anybody?
We don't have too many because we've done 16 projects.
That always helps.
The first one, we had a lot of questions because it was brand new. I remember that one when he brought it in. It was kind of a different, what are you doing?
Yeah. How does this work?
But it's a little different than we've done so many of them, so.
And it was nice even driving in. I drove by a big solar farm
Right.
right around the corner. So I'm familiar with it.
I have nothing else.
Yeah, Allegheny County has a lot of solar.
Most of them are small community, but we do have 3 larger proposals that are going to be 500-acre type projects.
Oh, wow. Will those go through the state
94C,
process?
Yeah, the state process. But yeah, there's 3 that are proposed that are large ones. So. One already has state approval. The other ones have not gotten there yet.
Okay, well, we thank you very much for the information, and we appreciate your being here. I think Craig said you're welcome to stay.
Yeah, you're welcome to stay. It's a
or-
public meeting. You can stay, but we just wanted to get you on first, so I didn't know what
Yeah, I
your schedule was
appreciate
like.
I've got nothing going on until lunchtime, so
You're more than welcome to sit and stay
Yeah.
then, okay?
And we will have an executive session later, but
Yeah, you can kick me out at any time.
yeah, we will. Okay, all right, well, thank you, Catherine. And we'll get started on our agenda then. Actually, the first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of June 8th, 2023. So I would entertain a motion for that.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, we're gonna have a lot of back and forth today. Okay, moved by Randy and second by John to approve the minutes. Any questions about the minutes? I have a quick question.
Sure.
Pam is still out, or
Yes.
are you doing these minutes?
Yeah, I'm doing the minutes.
Okay, well, thank you very much for doing
Yeah, we're
that.
fine.
That's,
She's come in a couple times. She's been helping me out on the financials, but no, she hasn't been back in full time yet.
Okay, thank you. We'll go for a vote on that then. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that motion is passed. Thank you. And next is the treasurer's report, looking at the abstracts. Have any questions about that? Find it here.
We did get the money transferred, as you see on that, so our accounts are all below 250. So.
Okay, are we ready for a motion? We'll take a motion to approve.
I'll move that.
John, second by Randy, yes, okay, thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that is passed. Next is banking and financial summary.
And as far as all the actual checks, Doug already came in and reviewed everything as well, so. Okay, we'll take a motion to approve. Motion.
Second.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that is passed as well, thank you. Okay, since, of course, and Tim are not here yet, we'll move ahead to a couple of other things. Let's go to the building maintenance report. Craig, do you have that?
The only thing I have is the next door, we had to charge the systems up with Freon. They'd gone bad. They leaked their Freon, but they're working fine now. So that was it was in the bill. It's about $450 to charge them. But other than that, we are going to have somebody look at the systems. They're getting old, but they're working fine now. So other than that, we're doing fine.
Okay. It's nice to know we don't have any roof issues or boiler issues and all that. Good. Okay, let's move on then to the action items, the public hearing resolution for the Augusta Solar Wellsville project that Catherine represents. We're looking, Craig, do you want to speak about that just for a second?
This is basically just to set the public hearing resolution so we can host a public hearing. And I'll coordinate with the town as well as Catherine. So it's a time, it'll be in the evening, probably about 7 o'clock is when we really run them. And it has to be notified for at least 10 days. So it'll be probably about 3 weeks from now.
Okay.
And I'll modify the resolution because obviously there's only 3 of you here. So I'll have to put down the fact of who was present. We'll change that.
On the voting, you mean? Yeah, sorry, almost couldn't hear. Okay, let's have a motion to approve and then we'll go for questions. Whose turn is it? John?
I guess.
Okay. Randy seconds.
Second.
Thank you. Okay. Any questions? We've had some good discussion already.
So the process is obviously we do the public hearing, we'll do the seeker at the same time.
Perfect.
And then after 30 days, so I don't know, we may not be able to get in by the next board meeting, but we'll be close.
Okay.
I'd like to hear Catherine's recommendation. Do you think we should approve
Thanks, Jack. That's an important question.
it? Yes.
Okay, let's take a vote. It has to be a roll call.
Roll call vote, yes.
So on the first one, Judy votes aye. Randy?
Aye.
Okay, and John?
Aye.
Okay. And the other 2 are absent.
Right.
Okay, that is passed. Okay, that's that. Okay, the next one then is to deals with the seeker, with the IDA being the seeker lead agency. And Craig, do you want to say a few words about that?
Yeah, this is something that we do about on half the projects. We'll be the lead agency. We offer that as a service to any of the small towns. And I've talked to Chad yesterday. He wants us to be the lead agency, which is fine. Hodgkin and Russ will send all the letters to the appropriate agencies, and then they get 30 days to respond. So it should be a fairly clean process to do that. This does not have to be a voice vote, just passed by the board.
Okay, motion. We've made so many motions already. I can't remember. We already made the motion. No.
Not this one, we didn't.
I'm sorry. This is just there. Too many motions and 2-3 people. Okay, we need a motion then to be the seeker lead agency. So who'd like to make that?
I'll make it.
Okay, thank you, John.
Second.
Thank you, Randy. Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, that is passed. Okay, let's see. The next 2 actually are what we're waiting for other people to come. So let's go on to the old business, the CBDG CARES Act update from Craig. These are all going to be
Sure.
updates from Craig.
Yeah, the CBDG CARES Act is going pretty well. As you know, we've approved 22 companies to get funds, about a total of $900,000. We've had 2 draws made and have sent those out to 5 different companies, a total of $150,000. And we have another $250,000 that is in process that we should be getting any day, of which I think there's another 5 companies. So it'll be about 10 companies will have gotten about $450,000 of the 900 by next week.
That's great.
So, and I know I visited a couple of them recently and they're doing very well. So they're very appreciative of getting the money, obviously.
Mhm.
The largest one went to Alex's, and they got $75,000. They were over the moon, obviously.
Yeah, that was so big compared to some of the other.
Most of them are in the $50,000 range and less, so.
Good, and
So by the end, I would say by the end of the summer, we'll have most of that money transpired. We do have till October to get it all taken care of, so we've got plenty of time to make sure all the money gets spent. And we don't cut the checks until we get the money, so it's just a pass through.
Okay, great. How about the CBDG?
We had, believe it or not, 19 applications.
Yeah.
So we have.
Morning, Tim.
Yeah.
Come on in and join us.
So we had 19 applications for the micro enterprise grant. Mike is reviewing them now and ranking them. More than likely, there'll be at least 12 to 15 that will be eligible. There'll be some that aren't quite ready. We don't know yet because he's still ranking them and looking at them. But we only have two. Well, last time we had $300,000, $200,000. This time we have $300,000, and more than likely we can really only realistically fund 8 to 9.
It's gonna be hard.
So the question I have, I'm glad you came, is to fund maybe 3 or 4 extra ones. Would the IDA and the county consider helping to fund some of those micro enterprise grants? It's just something to consider. We have 19 applications.
That's good.
Now, I know it's good we have that many
It's a good
applications,
problem,
but if we
yeah.
have 12 to 15 really good proposals, would we consider helping to fund some of them? Because we only have enough to fund probably 8 to 9 of them.
And when is that gonna happen? Is that gonna be next month?
Right now, Mike's saying he'll have the initial ranking review done probably next week, and then we can look at the rankings and decide how many we want to go forward with. As you well remember, he works them to make sure the business plan is even better than what has been submitted. So we may be ready to approve some of them in August, but they may not all be ready for August. It just depends on how responsive the companies are.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's something the county would want to consider, but I know the IDA would, I think.
Consider and please give us any comments you have at this point.
I think that the county has funding available, but
Right.
obviously there's competing interests
Sure.
for that funding. So if we could maybe have you identify how much funding you think would be needed,
Right.
we could definitely have a discussion about that.
It's the first, I figured it best to let you know now
Yeah.
before we have the applications, but my guess is we'll probably need, if we fund 3 or 4 extra ones, that could be total, it could be as high as $120,000, it could be as low as $60,000. It depends how much they're asking for. You know, but I'm saying usually last time, most of them are in the $30,000 to $40,000 range, but we don't have to give them that much money.
I'm just looking at a timeline too. So if the applications are gonna be ready for August for us to look at them,
Right.
that means we need to see them a week to 10 days before.
I
Yeah. And then if we review them and then give the county some indication of the quality and the amount and what we would maybe need, what kind of a timeline would the county then need to be on to be able to get the money and the answers back to, you know?
Well, we would want to give, obviously, we'll be giving the first 8 to 9 a commitment sometime, maybe August or September. The next 3 or 4 would depend upon when the money's available.
Okay, so we
You
have
see what
some
I'm saying?
leeway.
So, I mean,
There's some
we have some leeway because it's obviously all these companies want the money sooner than later. But I can tell you with all the getting the money from the state, from CBDG, they don't get the money very quickly. Anyway, as you well know, it takes a while to get the transfers.
So the decision is that we fully fund 8 or 9 of
Right.
them, and then it's go, no go on some additional number.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So we wouldn't slow down the 8 to 9 because we want to get those going because they take longer to get the money from the state, but there'd be 3 or 4 that we may still want to consider funding, yes. That's my thought.
Okay. The alternative, however, is if we don't have the
Then you just
additional
do the 8 to
fund,
9.
do we take the 12 and reduce, even though they
You could
ask
still do
for-
that.
ask for 100%, we give them 80% or whatever.
Right, like what we did for
But
this
that's a
other,
decision that would
We
need
would
to
have
be
to
made before we fully fund
right,
Right,
the 8 or 9.
right. Yeah, it depends, because I don't know what they've asked for. I've not seen all the applications. Some of the applications last time, even this time, were probably only in the $10,000 to $15,000 range. But some of them are probably pushing the envelope and want more of the $40,000 or $50,000 range.
Greg, do you think you'd be in a position for the committee meeting next week?
I think Mike will have at least a review to say that there's 12 and here's how much money they would get if they fully funded. So, they would,
So that if that could come out of your
Yep.
report in front of the committee for next week, then it has.
Right.
so at least we could be thinking if there were 12 good applications, what it would cost us to fund that. Yeah, we should know by next week, at least the first go round. I just thought that was a good idea. I was thinking about it last night. If we could help more people, it'd be better, because these are small micro enterprise grants. And I can tell you the 6 we helped the last time are all doing very well and are still active in business.
They're good businesses.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I can't tell you this 19. I know some of them, but I haven't seen all 19. Some of them were digital applications. I saw most of the handwritten ones, but they were only about half of them, about 5 or 6 that came through my office. But by next week, yeah, I'll get from Mike at least a summary of how many and what he thinks could be, because not all of them are going to be there. I don't think there'll be 19 good applications. There'll probably be 12 or 15.
So the county is the recipient of the grant.
Correct.
IDA is the sub-recipient,
Right.
and then we hand out the money. I'm assuming if the county did want to fund it, we probably would just want to fund the IDA to then.
Same kind of process.
We
I
would, the
think.
county wouldn't be funding the businesses directly.
No, you.
Yeah.
Because that would be much easier to cut the check that way, just like we do with the CBTG money, then we disperse it to
Does the county have some CBDG funds that?
So
Could be
this
part of
is
it.
our CBD.
Yeah, all the funds come through
Oh,
the
it
county.
is.
The
Okay.
county, the
Oh,
county
it
is
is.
the
Okay.
recipient, we're the sub-recipient that does all the.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense from what you just said.
And it's a great program. A lot of people have benefited that.
Well, it's really nice, because if you look at the two together, right now, we've already benefited almost 30 companies, and this will be another 10 to 12. That's a lot of companies.
And then
in
when
one
you look
small
at the
county.
total dollar amount too.
And right now, it's already about $1.2 million.
It's great.
And the nice thing is it's grant money. It's hard to find grant money. Most of them are loans and that they have to pay back. And this
Which
is
are difficult to manage too.
another hope, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you came at that time, because I thought that was a good idea to at least look at it. We'll know by next week. I'll bring it up at the committee meeting.
Okay, sounds good then, thank you. Do you want to go ahead and the Gateway Center to Western Yukon Wilds, that's also.
Well, actually,
Okay, they can
Tim could
help.
also mention, because I've been helping, but they're going to submit the grant application tomorrow, right?
Just, we're looking for an update.
We had a conference call with Delta Tuesday, and it looks like we have all the packet put together. We're going to receive the supplemental packet just for our review today to go sure we make sure we have all the information we need in there. We've got the letters of support, and they will push the button to send it tomorrow. That grant is looking at, through the ARC, is going to look at about $750,000 for a countywide sewer study. And in conjunction with that, we're looking at another $500,000 to $600,000 for the infrastructure development at the Gateway project for the water line and the tank. And so that would be another $600,000 to $800,000, we believe.
Right.
We're submitting for more than the perceived allocation or the stated allocation of 1.3 in anticipation that there are other counties and or the Seneca Nation does not complete their application, so there'll be leftover funds to be redistributed. And we'll take a look at that. The other thing that doesn't apply to that project, but with the sewer project we're looking at is the going to submit a consolidated funding arrangement for $200,000 to offset the cost of that countywide sewer project. And that'll be coming up next week. You were talking about a rise? Is that? You're just looking at that project.
You can, I mean, it's not on the agenda. You can let people know. I think it's an interesting project.
The other thing we're doing through I guess Southern Tier West and through Appalachian Regional Commission, through their ARISE program, is to see if we can develop a rural healthcare initiative that would transcend the Pennsylvania and New York borders. The hope is that we would be able to enhance recruitment and retention efforts for Jones, be able to look at the establishment of some additional primary care facilities. Also want to partner with all three of the universities. Houghton has a great program, and Alfred State both have good medical programs that we may be able to work with them to enhance our healthcare system, provide some of those needs for staffing. And the other issue that's been raised by our board is to look at some type of mental health, behavioral health component that we can get some efforts out there to stem the high suicide rate that we appear to have because we don't have the resources to get out to people. So it's going to be a kind of an interesting process. Yeah. We have a kickoff meeting coming up on the 27th of July for that. So
this program is called ARISE, or
ARISE is Appalachian Regional.
I won't remember it. Just ARISE or ARISE.
ARISE.
It's a new one, and okay. ARC's pushing interstate.
Okay.
That was having two states work together on projects.
I think that's great. But would Jones then retain its affiliation with the U of R system? Okay.
Yeah, we're not looking to change any of that.
Okay.
Just how we might be able to partner together for some initiatives that would transcend the borders. Because if you look over in Coudersport, it gets Cole Memorial Day. I think they've been picked up by UPMC. So it's really not going to address any of the ownership affiliations, just really trying to find ways to support them in their current efforts.
Mm-hmm. Is Kent County a part of this as well? I mean,
we have not reached across the border yet, but my understanding from talking to folks at Houghton yesterday is that Cuba may have, or CAP may have, a federally qualified rural health component that we may want to embrace, enhance through there, which would be really good. So, yeah. We didn't talk too much to Cuba yet because they're not, the primary focus is not necessarily hospital. So trying to find a nice way to say that. But, part of the behavioral health piece does spill over towards OEM, because that's where the behavioral health unit is for inpatient, and ways that we may be able to enhance that situation. So it'll be an exciting project to watch.
Yeah, I'm glad to know about that.
Appalachian Regional Initiative for Stronger Economies.
There we go.
Ah.
So it's pretty broad. I mean, healthcare
so.
fits underneath there, but it's not a healthcare
It's not
initiative.
the whole thing.
It has nothing to do with healthcare.
Wow, so many pieces to everything. Yeah, great. And I realized, just as you were starting to just talk, Tim, that I did not introduce you to Catherine, or Catherine to you. So why don't you go ahead and share who you are?
Carissa Nath, the Allegheny County Administrator.
Tim Boyd, the interim Economic Development Director.
He used to be the county administrator.
Okay.
And Catherine?
I'm Catherine Sheff. I'm with Clean Choice Energy, and I was here to represent our Augusta Solar Wellsville project.
Great.
Which we just passed to do the public hearing as being the lead agency on the seeker. So.
And I did, with the Gateway project, I did confirm with Tom Windus this morning that the scope of work and all of that has been identified for Hunt to continue that process, so that scope of work on the seeker for the road and the water line piece is in process. So,
do you have any idea when that road project will start at this?
it's in process. I'm being purposely vague.
Later.
Tom would like to say in the near future and leave it at that.
Well, I think
So, not tomorrow.
Right.
or
Yeah.
the-
I think what you may see is some type of activity in the sense that maybe that proposed road that space would be brush hog so that you could see where the road is going to go.
I think they did do some cleanup work out there already.
Right.
They've done some milling.
Yes, and I think they did some cleaning of the grub brush out there. Not part of the project would need to be done no matter what. I think
Right.
just kind of to help the IDA out.
Yeah, and our effort is to just demonstrate some progress, really. It may not be a finished product, but at least you can see we're working.
Right.
Okay, good. Good. We have one other thing in old business. Can we just do that real quick?
Yeah, the clean energy
And then
updates,
I
yeah.
think we'll go into executive session
Sure.
at that point.
Yeah, the only thing I have is we're meeting with the Northland Group next week to discuss not their pilot, but their host agreement with the large scale wind in Alfred. And our proposal at this stage is to use our UTEP, which is $2,500 per megawatt for the pilot. And then the discussion is how much of the remaining monies will go to the host agreement. And then the meeting actually is to discuss with the county, the town, and the two school districts how they want their funds, because a lot of the school districts are deciding they want the funds not in a pilot, but actually get some of the money up front, and it does not then count as part of their tax cap. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but sometimes that's what some of the communities are starting to do.
And would that be managed kind of after the host agreement
Yeah.
was
Right.
established?
Yeah. So we'll have a meeting next week and we'll let you know how that comes out. Oh, the other thing is the large wind turbine project, where basically the thing is the county's still working on the host, the agreement
The
for
road
the road
use
use agreement, yeah. Once that's finalized, I think they'll probably want to come back to us and start working on the project.
Do you have any idea how many county roads would be involved in that big project?
I don't. I think there was a time when I did know, and I've let that info escape my mind.
That's okay.
It's no longer relevant to my role.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, I mean, those are the roads you're talking about though.
Yeah.
right?
It's a county road, yeah.
Okay, any questions from anybody about that? Okay, all right, good information, thank you.
Okay.
Catherine, thank you very much for coming.
We have to have a motion to go to executive
Yes,
session.
we will, yeah.
Okay.
And John will make that, and Randy will second, and we will vote, and, aye.
Aye.
All right.
Okay, we will be in executive session. Thanks
Thanks.
for coming,
Thanks,
Catherine. Yeah,
Catherine.
take your diagrams. Thanks for
Let me turn this on.
Oh, no, we can vote before
No.
you turn it on.
I know you can.
Yeah, we don't want to be voting on it.
Yeah, you're out.
Okay, welcome back to the July 13th IDA meeting. Coming out of executive session, we have a couple of action items to take action on, and then finishing up our final items in the agenda of new business and that sort of thing. So the next order of business is to approve the Economic Development Services contract between Allegheny County and the Allegheny County IDA for economic services. So we've looked at the contract and we're ready to vote on that, yes? So move it, John.
Second.
Second, Randy. Any discussion? Okay, I think I would just say at this point that Allegheny County and the IDA have had a very good working relationship over the last several years. And this will put that into further. This contract has been in existence, actually in working order. And so we're voting to make it official. So all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that is passed. Thank you. And the second contract is to approve the services agreement between the State University of New York College of Technology at Alfred and Allegheny County IDA Development Agency. And basically this is pretty much a carbon copy of the contract that the county has been working with Alfred State to procure services for economic development through Craig Clark. And this is eliminating the county from this part of it, and the IDA will take on the responsibility of working with Alfred State. So if we're ready to vote on that, we need a motion.
So
Thank you, Randy.
Second.
John, second, thank you. Discussion, questions, or comments? We also have Tim Boyd and Kirsta Knapp in the room, and so if either of you two would like to say anything, please do.
Just, I believe the county is fully supportive of this change, and we're very excited to continue to support the IDA and Dr. Clark's direction.
Any other comments or questions? If not, we'll vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that is passed. Thank you. Okay. That concludes all of the action items on today's agendas. We did old business before the executive session. So we do have a couple of things under new business that we'll take care of. Kirsta and Tim, you're welcome to stay. Shouldn't be too long before we're finished. An update on the Great Lakes Cheese Cuba facility.
And Doug asked me to add this to the agenda, so it'll be on the old business from now on if there are any updates. I did talk to Matt Wilkinson. They still are toying with ideas of what they might use the facility at, but as far as the operations that it's currently in, those employees would be gone by the first quarter of 2024. We'll start moving them this year, in fact.
Okay.
So, and I do have someone that's actually reached out to me. His family, long time ago, was one of the ones that was working in the cheese factory back when it made cheddar cheese.
Mm-hmm.
And he's interested in discussing with some entrepreneurs and potentially doing some other things in the facility. So I will follow up with him and see. He called me out of the blue.
That'd be great.
So we'll
That'd be
see.
great. All the local
His
milk
thought
used to go to
process-
Cuba cheese.
His
all the
actually
time.
thought process was to make it a place where you could do multiple things, including cheddar cheese, but not just, having other entrepreneurs work in there. So I don't know if that's a realistic thing. I'm sure Great Lakes Cheese would support it, but whether or not we can find somebody who's interested in doing and actually running an operation.
Well, we'll look for updates on that in the
So,
future.
yeah.
Good. Thank you. We were also going to discuss the possibility of bringing on some new board members to the IDA. Craig, I think you have a couple of comments on that.
I've started to reach out to people. I've called 2 or 3 people. Maybe one of them may be interested, and then obviously they're also looking for other interests, looking for other people, business folks, as well as potentially bankers, some people that would fill into what we already have, and I've told them who's on the board already. So hopefully by next board meeting, we have some names.
Good. I did speak with Mike Johnson recently about it too, and he had a suggestion.
Okay, good.
That he was going to approach that person and see if he would be willing to talk about it.
Okay.
So, with you. So,
Okay, good.
I'll talk with you about that later as well. So, sounds good.
So if the county knows of anybody we'd be willing to talk to about, we're looking to potentially expand the board up to 7. We don't want to go to 6 again because
No,
6 is a weird number, because then you need to have 4 for a quorum, whereas 7 is 4 for a quorum. So I mean, it's kind of weird. You add a person, but it changes your quorum numbers. Plus, it's not odd; it's an even number.
And just for the people that are listening as well, that the IDA is not governed by the election districts or that the county has for other things. But I think what's very important on the IDA is to have members who have expertise in business and as well as other things. For instance, we deal with a lot of contracts. We deal with a lot of very specific things and construction types things, like what we never expected to be in the water line business. So it's important to have people on the board who understand all of those things and really can speak to that. So I would encourage us to look for people with specific skills that they can bring to the board. So, any other comments? Okay. Anything for the good of the order? We'll take a motion for adjournment.
I'll move.
It's one of you 2.
Second.
Okay, thank you. We are adjourned.
We're done. We're off.
Yeah,
We're
turn
done.
that thing off.